Good morning, I'm Jamie Gorman, host of Be Better at Business TV, and I'm here this morning with award-winning actress and narrator and the president of the Gainesville Professional Speakers, a Toastmaster Club, Ann Flosnick. Motivate your employees, captivate your customers, be a better speaker. Good morning, Ann.
Good morning, Jamie. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. Well, Ann, you're the president of the Gainesville Professional Speakers, and it's the Toastmaster Club.
Yes.
And I belong to that as well. That's how we met. And what exactly is Toastmasters International?
Toastmasters International, I believe, was actually began in the 20s, but really became a worldwide organization or around about the 30s.
Okay.
And it's an international group, and when you go through the first basic manual of 10 speeches that we touched on, you will become a competent communicator.
Okay.
And if you follow along the leadership track too, you'll also be a competent leader, and then it can go on and on and on into all kinds of advanced manuals.
Right.
And it's probably the most cost-effective way of improving your speaking in a totality, because it will teach you all the things that you weren't aware about, your body speaking, body language that we talked about, the vocal variety, making a point, inspiring people, teaches you all those things.
Right.
Probably for the cheapest.
Yeah, because it's not that expensive.
No. I think it's something like $36 every 6 months. So where
Less
are you
than
going to
$100,
get that?
right.
Less than $100, and it's internationally recognized. It has meaning. You'll get a certificate that says that you have achieved this when you do.
Right.
It has meaning all over the world.
That's great. Yeah, and I know that just in being that, I just finished the Competent Communicator, so I did
Yes.
my 10 speeches. And
You
did
gave a very inspiring speech.
Oh, thank you.
You did.
And the Competent Leadership as well, which has you play different, you fulfill different roles within the club, and it's very disciplined in how they go through the agenda to make sure that everything gets in. And it teaches you how to, accept things and how to transition on and off stage and also answer questions. Talk about the table topics.
Yes, sorry,
I found this fascinating when I started that. But
Yeah.
you do your speeches that are prepared, but then we also have this thing called table topics.
Yes. So as well as doing the speeches, the table topics, there'll be a table topics master, and they come up with table topics. They can either be related to a theme or just be something completely out of the blue, but they will have them prepared in advance. And you will be called upon as a club member,
right.
out of the blue, just to speak extemporaneously for 2 minutes. And even there's a little bit of latitude within there. If you are just absolutely stumped, you must quickly kind of course correct your thoughts and turn that question into something that you can talk about.
Right.
So as well as being good at preparing something, everybody's fine when they've prepared something, to speak fluently for 2 minutes for something that is totally unscripted, that can be very daunting.
Absolutely.
And we just get used to that.
Right.
It's a skill like anything else that you learn, and practice does help, really.
Right. And, as a business owner or as a sales and marketing, when you're in meetings and you get these questions that are just out of the blue, right? So it's not something you had in your slides or something that's listed on your features, but how would your product perform against this, or how would you do this?
Yes.
It really helps you kind of collect your thoughts, calm down, and then present a good answer to what that is. You can kind of fall back on what you're trying to talk about, and our questions get a little bit crazy, don't they? I think we had people singing at one where you were asked to sing or talk about a Christmas carol or something like that. So it can really catch you off guard, but it's a good practice.
It is, and like any other muscle, the more you use it, the stronger it becomes.
Right.
And nothing really floors you. And if it does, you deflect it. You learn the art of deflection. That's a very, very important strategy.
Great. So Gainesville Professional Speakers, and you can find a Toastmasters club in almost anywhere, right? I mean, you just go in, do a search on Toastmasters for your area, and you can find the club. Some meet weekly, some monthly, some twice a month. So we've been there, Gainesville Professional Speakers, for about 2 years.
Yes.
Right? So we've had some success stories. Would you want to share a couple?
Talking again about saying what you do, when I was went to a speech contest and met with our wonderful area governor, Juliette Brown, and I told her what I did, and I gave her my business card, and she looked to see, what it was that I did, and they have been very pleased with how well and to the book that we conduct our meetings.
Okay.
So we have been invited to speak at the first Super Sunday to the area about best club practices.
Right.
And as president, I'm very proud of that, and I will be one of the speakers, and some of the other officers will be up. and we'll explain this special board that we have that tracks educational
Okay.
achievement so that
Yeah.
nobody has to go hunting. It's all clearly laid out. That has caused a lot of great impressions
Great.
from that.
So it's not just, certainly the focus is becoming a better speaker. I mean, that's obviously you get to go, you do speeches, you learn to prepare them, you learn to add different things to your speeches, and you get evaluated so people can kind of help you out with that. But that leadership aspect, that networking aspect, because it's not just your club, you can go visit other clubs, and then there's a district and regional and those types of things where you can get involved at higher levels to the point where people come to Toastmasters to look for speakers when they need that as well, correct?
Exactly. And I was also very kindly asked to speak at the conference in May
Oh, that's
about
great.
speaking and so on and so forth.
That's wonderful. So there's a speaking, so something you kind of took to improve just from a career now is taking another thing where you're being asked to do public speaking on a much higher level.
Exactly. But it all comes by telling people what you do.
Right, right.
You sow a seed and
Yeah.
work on that.
And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be going, we call it the Gainesville Professional Speakers, but I think on our website we say, but you don't have to be a professional to join. It's kind of that aspect of, maybe you want to be a more professional speaker, but maybe you just want it to do better within your own, what you do now. You can still come and you can benefit from that. There's no pressure
Exactly.
that, okay, now you have to go speak professionally.
Precisely. Because we're all going to go outside of the house at some point.
Right.
And just even socially, it really helps you, the table topics, and just becoming aware of the whole variety and all the things that go into making a good speaker.
Right.
You can't be that if you don't know what the ingredients are.
Okay.
So you'll find all that out at Toastmasters.
Great. Anybody else specifically that stands out that kind of came in a little bit shy, not really wanting to get up there in front, and now can get up and really speak?
Well, even myself.
Okay.
Do you remember, can
Yes.
you testify to that? I was very shy because I'm used to mostly speaking just by myself, talking
Right.
to myself.
Well, you're talking to an audience. It just seems like yourself, because through the books you are talking to people. But
Yes, but there's no feedback.
Right.
It is just me. There's nobody else to relate to.
and that's tough when there's no feedback.
It's very precisely. So that was what I needed, and I benefited greatly, and so did you. You can tell us about all the things that it did for you.
Yeah, well, it's helped me, because I kind of went in thinking I was okay, because I was doing
And you
classes
were.
at the
You
time, and I
were.
was okay.
You were.
But just the aspect of, actually the speeches where you evaluated me, not only did you do my vocal variety, but also my body movements. And so, I'm kind of moving my hands a little bit, but just moving around the stage and talking about, if you're talking about bad things, you're leaving those over on this side. But then when you're talking about good things, you're over here. So visually, even though the
Yes.
audience isn't thinking, oh yeah, that's bad, that's good, it just kind of hits them, as you speak. So I think things like that, as you go through and read about it and experience, but then try it, has been very helpful.
Precisely.
And of course, I've also tried to get those ums out of and those fillers out.
Yes.
Are also something. I try to do.
Everybody, to a man or woman, does benefit in that way.
Right. Good. So in a couple of the other speeches, it's amazing because you get just people who haven't really shared their story, and we've had some
Yes.
pretty good stories in
We
our
have.
club that these people, and then they get up and they talk about their background or their life or certain happenings, and you're just like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. So it's a great networking and a great way to meet people and figure that out as well.
Exactly. And the way that the speeches are constructed, each builds logically upon the next.
Right.
Because you're not going to be a big speaker overnight, and you're not going to learn all the different parts of the puzzle overnight. But this way, it's self-paced. That's another very important point to make, that you take this at your own pace.
Right.
But it's in your best interest not to wait forever to make your icebreaker. And that icebreaker speech is your introduction to the group, and for many people, their introduction to actually speaking.
Yeah.
And it's telling your story. So that's easy. There's no memorization. You know what you're going to say. But the organization of the speech, this is
Yes.
where you begin to start your journey.
Yeah, and of course, the encouragement is very good as well. People, you do get evaluated, so people tell you how you can improve, but just the encouragement of people not laughing at you and just continually building that encouragement is a great part of it as well.
Just standing up.
Yes, absolutely.
And you are the sole focus.
Right.
It's your time. Yeah.
Good. Well, Anne, we've talked a lot about Toastmasters and about speaking in general, but why don't you tell us a little bit about you and kind of how you got into this and what you do as a professional or as a professional actress and narrator?
Right now, audiobooks have been
Okay.
the main focus of what I do, but I have had several roles, lead roles in local films, and
Okay.
this one here, Soiree, was a comedy farce, and it won an ITVA DC Peer Award for Best Full-Length Feature Film,
Wow.
whatever the year that it was. And some of the books have been very interesting and have brought out parts of me that I didn't know that I was able to do. For instance, anybody that reads books may well have heard of Little Bee, and that's the story of a Nigerian teenager who, the story begins with her in a detention centre prison in London, and the story is how she got there. And she learned how to speak by reading the Times newspaper, of all things.
Okay.
So how she spoke, the only reason that I dared to take it on was that's open to interpretation.
Right.
I'd never done a Nigerian accent before, but I thought there is a little bit of an umbrella of safety there. Who's to say how she spoke? So, but in order to prepare for that, I listened to Forrest Whitaker,
Okay.
The Last King of Scotland. Forgive me if I got the name of the film wrong, where he embodies Idi Amin, dictator. And I thought that sounds kind of what I think she would sound like. Only he, of course, was much more fluent with it
Right.
than she is, because she's never heard anybody speaking. So I modelled myself on his voice, and there was also a Jamaican girl at the beginning and some other people. The Jamaican girl in here was much easier to do because that was spelt out phonetically how she spoke.
Okay.
And she was laughing, and that was going, whoa, ho, 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 ho. You know, you really had to do that. And
Right.
can't tell you how many times I did that over and
Yeah,
over again till I got it sounding right. But
Not as many as I would have had to, but
so I've had to do, and even reading books that I never would necessarily have read. This was an interesting one. In this one, the London Blitz Murders, Brilliance Audio, this one came out this December, and in this one I get to be Agatha Christie, in real life, solving a spate of murders that were happening in the blackout in the London Blitz
Okay.
in Second World War, and she joins forces with the preeminent pathologist at the time, and pathology was a whole new thing. It's all CSI now, but it wasn't then.
Okay.
And Sir Bernard Spilsbury was the preeminent pathologist, and she teams up with him, and she tells him
Okay.
she'd like to help him solve the murders, and they go off and they do. And also, it's very interesting, she's solving the murders in the time frame of her writing of The 10 Little Indians, which was also filmed, and it was a very popular play. And it gives you some historical background as to she'd named it something else and it couldn't be that. It just wasn't politically correct, and so she changed the name of the thing. And also the current Duchess of Devonshire. In this one, is telling her story, she's looking back, but she's telling it, she's a 90-year-old lady, and she has lived a very full life, having tea with Hitler, and her sister shot herself in the head in a garden in Germany when Hitler told her sister Unity to leave Germany because we were at war. She shot herself in the head, and he made sure she had the best medical care and so on and so forth. And so just getting to be a 90-year-old aristocratic lady, these are huge stretches,
right.
you know, and I've just learnt by doing.
Great. Great. Well, we're out of time. So I would like to thank you for being here on Be Better at Business TV. We thank our audience for joining us, and just ask you that if what you saw today, you can go ahead and share that with people. Have a great day, and hope that you can use this to be better at business.